lost in the dark, an adventure full of unexpected dangers. The final school bell had rung, and steps were being taken for the summer holidays. Plans were being made. The young people who had been waiting for these times for months had finally reached the moments they missed. The school had slowly started to empty. Everyone had talked about what they would do in the summer, and then dispersed to their homes. However, some friends were still there, continuing to plan, unaware of what was going to happen. Dreaming of Italy, the city of lovers, Rome was attracting them. And while these thoughts were flying in the air, Lisa began to talk about Poveglia Island. She had heard many stories about this island and started to tell her friends excitedly. Still unaware of what was going to happen, Lisa, Nick, Samuel, and Dina were for high school students who trusted each other very much and had been planning to go on vacation together for months. Lisa and Nick were in love with each other and had set out to explore Rome. However, Lisa still had Poveglia Island in her mind. She wanted to research the interesting stories that had happened there and experience more excitement. The beauties of Rome had enchanted them, and they were dancing in the streets. However, Lisa's mind was still on the island, and she couldn't forget the stories of the mental hospital she had read. Lisa was determined and wanted to go to the island. In the cafe where they sat for the evening, Lisa opened the subject and said she wanted to go to the island. After a long discussion, they decided to go to the island for a day. When they woke up the next morning, they learned that the island was closed to visitors at the place where they stopped to buy tickets, and realized they couldn't go. This situation drew Lisa's interest even more and increased her desire to learn. They decided to secretly reach the island the next day. They set off to go to the island with a rented boat. As they started their journey, they felt a shiver inside. After hours of travel, they reached the island. After taking their bags and taking a quick look around, they turned around and realized that the boatman who brought them there was not there. They felt a moment of fear. Lisa stepped forward and started to go towards the inner parts of the island by crossing the rocks, and her friends followed her. Although it was summer, the surroundings were quite cool and they started to feel cold. They settled just above the beach and started to take a break. While thinking about what to do, they realized they wanted to go back immediately. However, Lisa didn't want to leave without exploring this place. She looked around but couldn't see the part where the mental hospital was. They lay down to rest for a while. About half an hour had passed when they suddenly woke up with Dina's scream. They looked around immediately, and Dina was gone. They started to run and search for her. When they found Dina, they were faced with a frightened expression and a pale complexion. They tried to ask what happened, but Dina wasn't saying anything. They decided to continue their exploration of the island. Despite the strange incident with the knife, as they walked further into the island, they noticed that the atmosphere became even more eerie and unsettling. The air felt heavy and the silence was deafening. They stumbled upon an old, dilapidated building that seemed to be the remnants of the mental hospital. The walls were covered in moss and graffiti, and the windows were broken. Lisa's curiosity got the best of her, and she suggested they go inside and explore. Reluctantly, the group entered the building, their footsteps echoing through the empty hallways. The rooms were filled with decaying furniture and remnants of the past. As they ventured deeper into the hospital, they couldn't shake off the feeling of being watched. Suddenly, they heard a faint whisper coming from one of the rooms. They followed the sound and found a hidden passage behind a bookshelf. Intrigued and slightly terrified, they decided to go through the passage to uncover the secrets of the island. The passage led them to an underground chamber. Dimly lit by flickering candles, the walls were adorned with disturbing paintings and symbols. They realized they had stumbled upon a secret ritual site. As they cautiously explored the chamber, they found a journal that detailed the dark experiments that took place on the island. The journal spoke of tortured souls and unspeakable horrors. Lisa's heart raced as she realized the truth behind the island's haunted reputation. Just as they were about to leave the chamber, they heard footsteps echoing from above. Panic set in, and they hurriedly made their way back through the passage. As they emerged from the hidden passage, they found themselves face to face with a group of hooded figures. Fear consumed them as the figures surrounded them. Their eyes filled with malice, it became clear that they were not alone on the island, and they were now trapped in a nightmare they couldn't wake up from. To be continued.